YouTube and wanting to give the 411 of this weekend and the frequencies for this weekend. So let's get started. I posted a, I've been playing with AI. I posted this uh, picture with, and it's Zeus and which is Jupiter. So I have Jupiter there with Saturn and Pluto and Uranus, right? Because of how and how they're looking over. And Jupiter's kind of like he's Zeus, right? So he's a young person. He's overlooking this formation of the world and how we are coming into it. And then we have you know Uranus holding the world and wanting to bring forth this transformation and change and bringing forth a transformation and change. Of course, it's not an easy one. It's not one that is that's going to be like simple and easy. It's going to be loud and it's going to be noisy and it's going to bring in a lot of uneasiness for people. And this is where I feel it's important that we start looking at some of the things that are going on. As above, so below, right? So thank you for those who are just joining me for the first time. My name is Mary Jane Tracy. I'm an astrologer. I'm a spiritual love of life coach and wanting to bring you onto a greater road with inspiration, with the shenanigans of above. So we have the moon in Gemini all this weekend, and that can be that could bring in like a lot of crazy energy. It can bring in, I mean, I cleaned all my windows in my place. I was just cleaning and digging things out and getting into corners. So this Gemini energy is very active and it really is caffeinated. So this is a caffeinated weekend and it's buzzing. And so this is like you'll feel that internally just once. And sometimes it can make you go a little bit, it can be a little bit too much. People can, it can be a little bit too much for people with this type of energy. But it's like you're reorganizing your drunk drawer while pondering extra uh, uh, extra sensual questions is esoteric questions, and you're cleaning this out and you're thinking all these thoughts are coming through, and it's curiosity, multitasking, and flirting the idea um, of the cosmic hummingbird, right? So it's a trick to not spiral. Like the Gemini energy wants to know things, all things, but you don't have to solve the world peace by lunchtime. Although you might feel like you have to do it, you have to get it all done now. And with Saturn on Saturday, Mercury, which is today, it is picking up speed. He's moving on. He's out of shadow, and this brings in clarity to recent confusions. This is where, especially around communications, travel decisions, that felt like you're trying to herd cats during a thunderstorm. So this is really bringing some energy and like really booming energy into into our world. I mean, this has been a very cosmic week. I don't know if you saw that boat race that it just, I was watching, I'm just like, what the hell is this? And this guy was going, I don't know how fast, but he was just zooming along, hurdles through the air, flips around, crashes, wins the race, and they come out. It was just like, holy shit, that was just crazy, with the energies. Like it's just totally a Pluto, with the Pluto axis and with Mars there too. And Pluto's going retrograde tomorrow by about 10ish tomorrow. So we got Pluto retrograde and it's going to hum around the 3 degrees. And what's really unique about this Pluto retrograde is that it's going to stay in Aquarius. So we are really going to feel this effect over the next 6 months. So there's just a lot of crazy activations that are happening right now. And on Saturday, today, we also have Uranus and Algo conjunction in Taurus. And this is both literal and political. So there's a lot of financial markets are jittery, food systems may feel unstable. I got to pull my notes. I don't even know where I did because water spilt all over my notes today. But when I talk about the food and stuff, it's like the port of Los Angeles is one of the main ports, right? And one of the main ports there. So we have a lot of tankers, or cargo ships are parked there, and some of the big players like Walmart and Target, they're going to pay for those guys to stay there because it's cheaper, right? They can afford that instead of paying everything all at once. The other thing is that we're going to find, especially when it comes to things like the food industry and that, is that they're going to be very strategic on where things are coming from, where things are made as well. So when you look at some of the big players that are happening right now, is that to get into Walmart takes a lot, right? It takes a lot to get into Walmart or Target. You have to go through a process, right? And they're going to ask, where do you get your stuff made? If your stuff is made in China, well, I can get I can get better. I can get better packaging and just as good packaging in Vietnam, and I don't have to pay those tariffs. So we're going to see a lot of strategic moves that are going to be happening, especially with this Uranus and Algo. And Uranus and Algo is like, I talked about this before. It wants to bring in transformation and change out of things that are miserable, because Algo is not a it's not a fun-loving star. It is one that really wants to. It has a very dark side, a very sinister side. So there's a very sinister side that really wants to, hold people down and keep people down. I just posted on my Facebook about the home equity tax, right? And what's coming up with the home equity tax. And the home equity tax is quite interesting. Um, and it's an extra tax when you sell your house. So this is another thing that is going to come about. I've never heard of a home equity tax. It's a new tax that wants to come in. It's like very much where we're in an energy of suppression that really wants to suppress you, wants to keep you down, keep you punished. And this is where it's like, how long can you take that? Now we're seeing in Alberta, they're not going to take that. I mean, we're seeing a big surgence and a big rise. And that's part of what I said, a few months back, even almost a year ago. I was saying there's going to be a revolution in Canada. I said there's going to be something crazy that's going to kick things off and borders are going to change. So we'll see how things unroll with that, because there is something dynamic and changing, and it's the old systems cracking open so new light can come in. This is regulations, environmental shifts. This is going to be heads on, right? It's like a lot of people that fly, who is it, like Jane Fonda and this other actor, flying over the oil sands and saying, look at how horrible in that. But they don't want to hear the other factor of how clean it is afterwards, and how they've gone in and cleaned this up, and then the space is better than what it was before, and environmentally and for animals and the whole bit. So this is a very interesting time. The energies are very much really wanting to push us, and it's going to get loud. I mean, I thought it was funny. I don't know, these women fighting on CNN, and I mean, it was like a all-out cat fight on there, and it was crazy. And that's what another thing that happened this week. So this craziness of pushing things is definitely there, and wanting to push us into new transformational ways, new ways of looking at the world around us, and not feeling or you know, um, getting us stuck, like staying in one spot and making us move, right? Because with this week, especially this weekend, so it's a very curious moon. It's a moon that can get us very overwhelmed, and so we really have to watch how we're channeling that frustration and working within the artistic means. And if you have, for me, it's like I can do bursts of things. Like I've cleaned the windows and cleaned all stuff around the house, and I've done some work on the sacred my blah, 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 I'm going so fast. See, how can you tell it's a Gemini moon? I'm just like blah. Um, right now we have the journaling, the magical journey of journaling that started on May 1st. If you're still interested, please let me know. And we have that going for 31 days. So I've sent out everything for everybody. We're going to be meeting on Sundays, and giving them sort of a basis of how to start and how to create and get in to this beautiful vibrations. To I've set up for the next 3 months, and the next 3 months are, I'm having our Sacred Summer series, and the Sacred Summer series is about creating, with the midsummer magic, coming into that magic of the summer solstice to our soul's nourishment and um, waking expression. To August is the harvest of you, and bringing in that beautiful, what have you harvested? And then of course we'll continue on to the fall and the winter months. But the summer sacred one is, I'm very excited about it. It's something, and it's all going to be done with PDFs and stuff. It's going to be self-directed, so that a lot of people go away. This is something you could take, you're going away, you're going camping. You could pull this up on your computer. You can print it off, put it in a binder, and you can do this on your journey. There's things in there to help you to create an altar. What are the things that we need to put into our little sachets and things like that, and to create and bless our journey as we're going through this summer. This summer is like a very um, yummy time. It's a very scrumptious time. I feel we have this time of motivation, even though we have Pluto going retrograde, and uh, this is where we could still have that movement. We could still be able to do things, but this is, no, I'm putting things in motion now so I can continue them on and carry them on even more, which is, I find, very, very exciting with everything. So, yeah, hold on here. I did take notes today because I knew my mind was going to be all over the freaking place with everything, because there's just so much energy coming in, and I've been just itching to get on here and um, just to talk about things, because there is this is where there's just so much happening in the world, and I find people aren't knowing this, or they're not aware of this. And I've tried to be really good on not getting too political or conspiracist theorist person, keeping this very wanting to keep people's spirits, so that their vibration is going. But I feel like there's so much that is going on right now that this is where we have to keep the spirit going. We have to keep our energies um, abound in amongst where we, over this next few months, or even just this next month, um, we're going to see some dramatic things happen in the world, and how we are going to keep ourselves afloat. And some of them, I mean, the psyops that just happened with the election, that's what I'm going to call it, and the craziness that went around there. And this is where, when I said to people, don't get hung up on who wins, because even with I don't know, even with Polyev, I just feel like there was just something there, or he knew something, and either I don't know, there's just something there that just was not quite right with it all. But having Mr. Evil, that's what I'm going to call him, um, come in, this is where we're going to find where the squeeze is on. And Canada's in the middle of this, and this is where people definitely have to wake up. We're going to find a lot of people leaving Canada. I feel a lot of people, before any of these big taxes go on for you to sell your house, people are going to leave, because you're going to think, is if you sell your house, I mean, you are taxed on that, but then you're going to have another tax on top of that. And that could be thousands of dollars, or it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars that you might lose on your home. And that's going to a government that doesn't care, a government that can just print money off whenever they want. So this awakening that's coming in is like getting Canadians to really, and the world, to really look at what direction do you want to go into, and how does that look for you. And this is where I find people think it's, whatever's happening in the States is crazy. But I think, whatever, you got to start looking at what's happening here in Canada is crazy. I always thought the dairy industry was really fucked up in Canada. When I see, I have friends from Britain, and I have friends from Switzerland, yes. And the clients from over in Europe. And we talk about different things and stuff, and sometimes we talk about the dairy and things. Their dairy and how they promote their dairy industry is so different than how we promote ours. And they have all these reasons for why they want to protect it here in Canada. But you know, through it all, what they end up doing is that these dairy farmers end up throwing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of dairy and cheese in the garbage. Like, they just open the vats of the milk, and it just goes down the drain. Where we are in right now, if they were able to sell it, that means that they could sell it at a lower price, because it would be there for people, right? You wouldn't be paying, like, a girlfriend of mine in Swan, how much did she pay for a jug of milk? Homogenized. She had to get homogenized. I don't know, it was over 10, $15. I mean, really? Or how much they have to pay for groceries in Inuvik. I know it takes a lot to get it there, I understand, but the prices that go, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Not to me, as I look at, and I'm going to say something that I think in every age they say, not in this day and age. They shouldn't have to pay those types of prices, right? And so much, can and is produced here. But, when you pick pears in Argentina, and then they get packaged over in Vietnam, or even in China, or you get pork that's slaughtered here that gets packaged somewhere over in Asia. Like, it doesn't make any sense when you think of it all, right? And these are part of these changes and these strategies that are coming in. And we have to look at how we want to create these and form a place where we can have the freedom, we can have the expansion and optimism. And I feel that's Jupiter. That's why I had Jupiter, the one that's overseen there. Saturn wants to bring in the structure, the discipline, and the boundaries, and the reality checks. And right now, those two are squaring off. So we have this Jupiter who wants to expand things, who wants to do things. And then we have Saturn who wants to, no, we do it this way. This is what we need to do. It's like these are growing pains. This is the push to expand and pull to contain, right? So we have this old, because Saturn's the old regime. We want to contain this. We want to hold this. And Jupiter is like, can we just, like, we want the freedom. We want to get going. And Jupiter and Saturn connect in a cycle, and it's roughly every 20 years, and the conjunction. But the square comes midway through that, and it's a tester point. It's a point where it's like, okay, what are you doing? Like 2005 and 2006. In the year 2000, there was a conjunction. 2005 and 2006 was a square. And so the Jupiter in Scorpio, and Saturn was in Leo, and power struggles of growing, of survival, the 9/11 tensions between freedom and security. Hurricane Katrina in 2005 showed gaps in infrastructure versus the moral call to act. Right? This is the last, square that was happening. In 1980, 81, the conjunction 86, 87. right? So the collapse of the major financial institution, Black Monday in 1987, the stock market crashed. Spiritual yearning met economical instability. It sparked new age growth, but also fear of loss. So spiritual yearning, like in 86, 87, I mean, Louise Hayes was coming out, Dr. Wayne Dyer was coming out. Many new agers were coming out and doing a lot of spirituality, a lot of talks. Caroline Mize, Byron Katie, Doreen Virtue. A lot of them were coming out. Those are some of the ones I could just off the top of my head were coming out and really wanting to make a mark. So there was huge spiritual growth there, and that was Saturn and Sag and Jupiter and Pisces. And we can go all the way back to 61 with a conjunction, and in 85 it's 65 and 66 a square. Well, if you look at 1965 and 1966, civil rights movement, anti-war protest, Vietnam escalation. So there was a growing collective idealism, challenged institution. So now in the world, what are we looking at in the world today with this square? And we have Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter doesn't really like to be in Gemini. So it's expanding new ideas and new things in new ways. And Saturn, who doesn't like to be in Pisces, wants to bring in structure where things have been just floating off in the air and all over the place. So we have a crackdown, we have economic restructure, cracks in the financial systems that force new models. So we're going to have things that are going to come in, like them or don't like them, things, information that's going to come up about how our economy needs to run, what kind of money we're going to be using. All of these structures, all of these crackdowns are coming down. Moral confrontations with law and policies. The courts, governments, global organization reevaluate outdated frameworks. So we're going to look at these policies, look at this morality. Our values change. If people are looking at what's going on, we got to squeeze. Do you align with communist values? Do you align with the Chinese communist values? Do you feel that that's in your alignment? Moral confrontation with law and policy. So we have people coming in, or the other things that have been coming up to light of things that are being taught in our schools. The morality of it. Is that moral? Is that right? And how does that follow with our laws and policies? Big tech versus regulation. Saturn brings in innovation, right? Big innovation, AI, and even more, the quantum computer that just came out that wants to come in with the quantum computer aligned with the AI, bringing in new technology, new ideas with regulation. So Saturn says, hold on, we need rules. We need to look at the structure of this, right? How is this a good thing, or is this causing more isolation? Is this causing other issues in our world? So we have to look at that. Where are the checks and balances with that? Climate and natural resources. We got a prime minister, net zero, that's it. He wants to do a tariff on net zero. So if you are coming into Canada, he wants to do a tariff if you are not a net zero company. So otherwise he will tariff you. I don't know how much the tariff would be, but what is that going to do for business in Canada? So expansion and consumption versus the urgent need for limits and responsibility. Gotta love my dog. Truth versus control. Whose belief is right? The square stirs global debates about misinformation, education, and cultural narratives. So in comes new ideas on who's right. What should we be teaching in schools? What is morally right? Where's the misinformation on this? So here we have, do we need regulations, more regulations on social media? We're seeing that over in England right now. You write something about a religious group, you get called out for it. You get somebody knocking on your door with a nurse from the psych ward. And are you okay? Are you fine? Don't go on the bus, buddy. Don't go on the bus if they tell you that's the place to go. So cultural narratives too is all coming up. So we have this Jupiter Saturn and Saturn in our lives. This is what it wants to bring in, big dreams, but we're getting a reality check. I want to start a business, and then you're like, oh, but what about the taxes? How are we going to do this? Needing to redefine boundaries, especially when you're overcommitted to a lot of things, and let things slide in the name of being positive. So how am I doing my checks and balances? How am I keeping myself accountable for the things I need to do? Right. So right now for me, I'm focusing on the workshops. I'm focusing more on my astrology and wanting to bring in the astrology and letting people know, as above, so below. This is the astrology. This is, I'm just saying this is what's happening right now. And hopefully helping people to awaken to new ideas, or at the most make them think, right? I mean, how could people hated Trump so much that, like, excuse me, he's not even our president, for crying out loud. He doesn't even he doesn't give a shit about Canada, except for whatever, maybe he can, if Alberta separates, where do you think Alberta's going to go? I don't know. But the thing is that when I look at the Canadian chart and the sun is with Uranus, we've never been rooted in what Canada really needs and what Canada is. We traded off one imperialist, Britain, when we became our, confederation in 1867, and then we leaned on the United States. So we switched from one empire to another empire, right? So finding our roots, finding our truth, and spiritual and philosophical tension coming up. So Saturn clears away fluff, so your faith gets stronger. Right now, there's a guy, I can't know, what is it? The Fifth Door to Spiritual Awakening with Jesus or something is the book that they wrote. And this guy claims to be the new Messiah for Christians and for Muslims. He's this new Messiah. Scary. I mean, he gives me creepy vibes, man. And people are just like, because they're so wanting something, are just growing to them. I mean, if someone is saying, I am all, I am the one, it's like that woman, Mother Goddess, or whatever she was. It's like, oh yes, I am the God, I am the Goddess, look at me. And it's like, no. Even when you read about the apostles, it's only is this is Jesus. Through him you grow. This is where you get your connection, right? I'm just helping to show you the way. I'm just helping you to pave the way. I'm not here to be your Messiah. I'm not here to be the be all end all. I am the one that just wants to open doors for you, help you to grow. But when people are so desperate, and that's what they're doing right now, it scares the fuck out of me. So you're going to see a lot of cults and secret societies in that. That's very much a Pluto and Aquarius energy that comes through. But we're feeling it, and you feel like you're building a stairway to heaven with no blueprint. While Jupiter's like, just leap, and Saturn's muttering, you'll break a hip. So it's being aware, because you're going to grow, but Saturn, build it properly or don't build it at all. Have some structure there. You need the structure. You need some basis and some foundation there. You can't just go and throw it up to the wind. And hopefully my garden will grow. Hopefully I'll have carrots this year. I threw it up there and I let God, handle it with the wind. There's something that you need to do and need to structure about this. So it's some of the ways here I got you to balance the energy. So balance optimism with realism. Big dreams, but back it with a solid plan. Look at the things that you want to do. So what I'm doing right now, and I'm taking my own advice. I got my booklet all done. For the magic journaling, I got it all done, got it all set up. I got the video done, um, and set up a structure for people to work in. Now that's what I'm doing for the next June, July, and August. I'm just taking myself as an example. That's all I'm doing. And making sure that I can have those structures and those booklets and everything made up for people so that they can step into this and they can feel empowered and charged so that they can create these things. But I'm still there to help to guide them. I'm still there. I'm still meeting and having those meetings with them. I'm not just saying here and then waving goodbye. Taking spiritual responsibility. Don't bypass the hard stuff. Practice integrity. Practice that. I mean, sometimes things may seem like, oh, this is too hard. No, sometimes you might have to have those conversations. Sometimes you have to do the work. Like, okay, I want to plant a garden. I can't just throw the seeds up to the wind and hopefully God will plant my carrots in the right place. No, I got to make sure I clear his pathway, make sure I clear, or get the bucket out to plant my carrots or whatever it is. You got to do some work with this and you got to redefine success. So, taking meaningful moments to really look at where you're going and how that looks and how you want to grow even more. Saturn shows truly, truly meaningfully. And that's what Saturn does. If you're going to do the work, if you're going to, do the plans, Jupiter's here that helping you aim higher. He wants to expand that. But both of them together, I mean, there's that shadow side to them. And they're like, okay, you don't want to break, you just want to jump out. Okay, well, break the hip. Right? That's just the way that they work. Set sacred limits. Not all growth is good. Some boundaries are grace in disguise. Sometimes you have to let it go and let God. You got to trust that the divine is guiding you, and you got to put that. It's the divine will. And that's, I said that from the very beginning. This is a year of divine will. This is a year of surrender. This is a year of, if you're going to push and say, I'm going to do it all myself, I'm going to get this all done and blah, 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 blah. I know my energy. I know that you know what? I got my outlines. I got that done. I'm going to work on it more next week. I already have that set in motion. I understand my energies. I'm a projector. I am not one that can just go gun ho and work on something massively and then go ahead and do something else and then go. I just know I'm exhausted. My body can't take it, and then I get feeling very sick. So be patient. This isn't an overnight transformation. It's an archetype of the soul work. That's what we're in. We're in a time of rebuilding our soul. We're in a time of re-landscaping our own selves, our destiny, of where it is that we want to go and how that looks. So that's what we're heading into, and that's what we're doing at this time. And it can feel crazy and it can feel all over the place. We just came off of that Mars opposition to Pluto, and that's a very cosmic standoff, personal will and the collective power, right? Here it comes. This Leo power, this Leo energy is my personal power. Aquarius is the collective. It's not about just you. It's about a collective energy and this inflamed global tension, right? It's a textbook to pre-war energy in the mundane. This is a trigger. This is a struggle in government leaderships, even AI regulations. This is igniting inner revolution. And with Mercury retrograde, we're in this kind of, I'm going to say, moodling energy. We're in this kind of slothing energy. And when it goes retrograde, everything for the last 6 months, it's going to go back over. And then it's going to go forward in 6 months. So what is it? May, June, July, August, September, October, November. It starts to go forward. November is when a lot of shit's going to start hitting the fan. November, December. So this is volcanic energy, heat rising from beneath the structures. So we have a lot that's rising. The Pluto in Aquarius we know is a 20-year cycle. From 2023, which it began retrograding in and out, to 2044. And this is reinventing a collective power of the people, rebellion against systems, quantum techs, AI, decentralization. Uranus is going to be entering Gemini. And he's going to be entering Gemini this year. So 2025, 26, he's going to go into Gemini and then retrograde up. This is ushering rapid shifts in communication, alliances, likely digital or information based war. This is classic fourth energy turning. Uranus in Gemini cycle has lined up major upheaval: American Revolution, Civil War, World War II. This isn't doomsday thinking. It's actually we are a collective initiation, and the old world is dying, and something new is coming, but we are midwifering it through the fire. And this is where the energy, with a lot of fire coming in, and even with Cancer energy, because we have Cancer energy coming in too, for this is where things are, where people are like wanting to mother things or keep things to at a certain place, or wanting to be things at a certain way. It's like it's taking this band-aid off and saying, no, there's no more mothering, right? We can't mother because mothering is going to suffocate. So we have this energy of spiritual upheaval that's coming in. This is where you're going to find a lot of psychics, astrologers, spiritualists are going to come in. And this is where you're going to have to also, you're going to have some come in that are really wackadoodle, that are going to say some crazy fucked up things. I've watched some on TikTok, and I'm just like, are people, like, how do they get 100,000 views? Why is this person? And the thing is that they start talking, and I'm bored. I'm bored. And I don't know. People are just, anyways, flocking to them. And that's the whole thing. I'm wanting to empower you. I'm wanting you to step into your power and step into that alignment. I don't give a fuck how old you are. You could be 21, you could be 110, right? This is about empowering you, because this energy is real. It's happening. This is about compassion and bringing in this compassion. This is about connecting to spirit and allowing yourself to create and reclaim your power, especially underneath Mars and Pluto opposition. This is sacred, of resistance, embodying peace in the revolution. I did a little video, and I posted it up on the Mars opposite Pluto. And it's a meditation when you're meditating as the storm is going on. You're finding peace in all of this, and finding that peace. And I love the early 1940s and that kind of history and stuff. Even then, I love the history from the Tudor age. Well, anyways, I love history, but watching a lot of what happened in, how people could find that peace. When the Blitz was happening in England, and after the Blitz, people would come back out, and they'd come out of um, the bomb shelters and everything, and they'd come back to the streets to reclaim this is my city, this is mine. And I find that this is where we're at a time where we have to reclaim what is ours, reclaim that energy, right? Because there's going to be such a resistance of not allowing you to do that, not allowing you to have the things that you want to have. And they'll make it sound so shiny and so wonderful, right? So, in this weekend, as the world is shaking up and things are getting crazy, you know, people have to realize the big guys aren't talking anymore. Trump's not talking to Putin, not talking to China. He's not going to lift the tariffs, to China. And look at how much the tariffs are that China did on Canada. But Carney isn't saying a damn fucking thing about that. He's not doing anything about that. I wonder why. Right? So this is a reclaiming. This is where we're going to see, when people say, oh, Walmart and Target, those guys are big money. They have a lot of money. And, as I explained earlier, the cargo ships are parked. No other cargo ships can come in right now. So no cargo ships are leaving China right now. And the ones that are here, the guys that have the money are going, which are the Walmarts, and that are going to say, I'm going to have you sit there and I'm going to take what I need off that cargo ship and then I'll pay it. I'm not paying for it all at once. I'm going to wait this out. And in the meantime, I might be able to get stuff from Vietnam. I might be able to get stuff from other places. Do you know that since he put those tariffs off, United States made $15 billion because of the tariffs. $15 billion just went into the government. Crazy. Small businesses, yeah, they're going to have to take a loan out. They're going to take it and they're going to have to take it as a loss. That's the same way that's going to happen in Canada too, with some of this net zero tariffs that he's going to be implementing. And how he wants to really go down on a lot of our resources and have to pay it. And how people are going to stand up and start saying no. So anybody who's working in like any gas, oil plants, everything like that, we're going to see over this next few months how things are going to get really crazy for them. And things are going to get really tight. And how Canada, things are going to I'm just going to say it's going to get crazy. And how that looks. Because it is a huge wake-up call. And right now people look, well, nothing's changing right now. Everything seems fine right now. For now, it looks okay. But wait a couple weeks. Things are just aren't going to be as wonderful as what you think. More so, we have the king coming in. The king coming in to do the speech from the throne, to do a throne speech. And I find that interesting for him coming in. It's like almost like, oh, well, we want to bring Canada together. And I'm just like, okay. This is where it's almost where this is how I see it. It's like, yeah, okay, let's bring you guys together, see how you're doing, pat you on the head kind of thing. The king's here. How nice, how beautiful. But yeah, it's not as great. It's not as great as what people think. And this is the other thing too, is that he's probably friends with the king or with the royals as well. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. So remember this, you are not powerless. Remember this. Remember that the Lord of Transformation, the God of War, locks eyes with the Lord of Transformation. Mars in Leo wants action. Pluto asks for whom and for what future. We are being squeezed by the cosmos to choose how we lead, how we fight, whether our power serves ego or evolution. World events may feel explosive, and history shows these alignments mark revolutions and wars. But remember this, you are not powerless. You were born to be here. This moment needs soul lights. So breathe, 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 and anchor that beautiful energy and stay sacred service. Stay in that sacred service. It's there for you, and it's there for all of us. I'm going to send you guys out so much love. And may the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each of it and every one of you. If you are wanting to join me this summer for the Sacred Summer series, let me know. It's $100. If you want to just do one, they're $50 each. So $100 for the next 3 if you want, or you could just buy them one at a time. It's up to you. And yeah, have a blessed one, everybody. If you need a reading, get a hold of me and let's book you in. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you and all you say and all you be and all you do. Shine your light. Shine your light, baby. It's going to be awesome.